I see.
So our answer immediately Nenapagvaltu, but he is the founder. Now his son is in charge of the India operations.
I see. What is the cost?
I paid 1.5 crore.
I see.
ನಾವು ಅಹಮದಾಬಾದ್ದಾಗೆ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
Uh-huh.
ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಕೋತ 6 ವರ್ಷ ಹೋಗ್ತು.
I see.
Construction is complete. Otherwise, COVID ಒಂದು ಬಂತಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು.
So COVID disrupted their progress. ನೀವು ಫೋನ್ಲಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ತೀರಿ?
ಹೌದು.
So how is your son doing?
Doing well, no problem.
So ಒಬ್ರು ಇನ್ನು ಮಲೇಷ್ಯಾದಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೋ? He has been shifted from
He's
there?
in Malaysia only.
Malaysia. Well, exactly which place in Malaysia?
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur, here only.
Why is the Allah Murdeshwar is not coming on the line? Allah, we have logged in. Professor Mukund Dixit also has logged in. Because it's already 10:05. And Satish Modi also is still to log in. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತದಲ್ಲ Dr. Mode knows the change in the program, right? I mean, that we're starting at 10 o'clock. So Dr. Satish Mode knows that we are going to hello. I also feel I talked to him that we're going to start at 10 o'clock. You will be online at 10 o'clock. Hello. Hello, Professor. Dr. Korvi, are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm able to listen to you, and whole class is waiting for the session.
Okay. Okay. We are waiting for Dr. Satish Mode to log in.
Okay. So is it at 10 o'clock, sir? 10 a.m.?
It was, rescheduled actually to the 10:30.
Yeah.
We postponed it by some time so that we can finish the formalities early.
Fine.
Yeah.
We are ready. We are ready, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Coming from Mumbai.
Dr. Mukund Dixit has already logged in.
Good morning, Professor Dixit.
Professor Dixit?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. In fact, Dr. Korvi is wishing you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you? So nice to see you. Such a wonderful class.
All my students are there, first year students.
Yeah, I can see them. Some of them are giggling.
Yeah.
So,
You can say a few words to the audience, Professor Dixit. In fact, we are
wait. In fact,
more to log in. We
best
don't know
is
what
to
some
wait.
problem is.
I have to wait while they come.
Huh.
I can only say all the best. I see all the bright eyes waiting to get all the wonderful inputs on how to behave. Ethics, morality are too personal and choices are tough. So we're all waiting to listen to the dilemmas and the way the dilemmas are to be resolved in favor of self and the society. But if I care for self, the society might suffer. But if I care only for society, I might suffer. So how do I balance and what do I make out as the dilemma? Only this morning I was reflecting on the situation before Karna when Kunti asked him to give his Karna Kundal and all the kavach. Now, do I look at her as my mother and therefore give it away because she has asked? Or do I look at her as somebody who is wanting something from me and live up to my reputation as the Danavir? Or just say, sorry, I mean, how do you define mother? So that was my question. Mother is what gives birth or who brings you up or whom you relate to. Tough questions, tough choices. That's why managers are there. So all the best. I'm also waiting to listen to some of these things. Personally, I find it very, very difficult to identify and resolve ethical dilemmas, especially the conflict between self and society. So, Korvi sir, you have sent one team to hospital. Yeah, one team has gone to hospital. Yeah, the second year it's. Yeah, you're mute, sir. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah, sir. So one batch, that is final year students, have gone to hospital industrial visit. They've gone to, one is Kirloskar steel, and other one is that hospital steels.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience actually.
Today morning, 2 buses have left from Hubli.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a short visit to Hampi also.
No, Hampi, I don't know how helpful it is because everything is destroyed in Hampi. There's only an opportunity to recreate the glory, that's all. But ferrous and hospital steel are a good choice.
Yes, sir.
Because our students seldom get to see the manufacturing sectors.
Yeah.
So
the students are moving there. And it's a really activity filled weeks going on nowadays. Yesterday we had in our premises the central minister Prahlad Joshi. Prahlad Joshi ji, he is here to see, witness Modi ji's Man Ki Baat.
Yeah, that came in the newspaper also, not today's newspaper.
A couple of our students won some prizes in the intercollegiate matches. So he has felicitated those students also, and he interacted with our students about the Chandrayaan 3. So that way, students had an opportunity to interact with him. So it was, even though it was Sunday, I should appreciate all my students and staff. So they are sparing their holidays to keep up themselves with all the activities happening in the institution.
That's good. Actually, Chandrayaan 3 success has rekindled interest in science, technology, and management.
Yes, sir.
So at some point in time, we all thought the engineers are separate, managers are separate. But how you skillfully combine the challenges posed by technology to manage a mission is something worth studying. In fact, the other day I was witness to a speech by K.R. Rao, who is English of Science. So he was sharing. Therefore, I'm sure in Hubli itself there are several people who worked with ISRO.
Yes, sir.
It's a good idea to invite some of them. People worked in SAC, people worked in ISRO. Some of them have visited. In fact, the person who was talking yesterday, he had visited NASA. He was there when the man landed on moon. So he was sharing some of those experiences. So worth relating and recollecting going back to the same question of science, technology, and management.
Yes, sir. That's what I was sharing with my students. There is a lesson for everyone from Chandrayaan. The students who are failure or any person who is failure in their life, in a professional life, or maybe studies, education, whatever it is, they can take a lesson from the Chandrayaan 2. And the people who are successful, they can take the lesson from Chandrayaan 3. So that's not an end. So still something else to be taken up.
Yeah. In fact, somebody said yesterday, look, this time when we are witnessing the Chandrayaan proceedings, we did not see anxiety on the face of the scientists. What we saw was curiosity. That means that they were very, very clear this time. If A fails, B will come in. If B fails, C will come in. Fortunately for them, A succeeded, and then B and C was more for practice. In fact, way back in Ahmedabad, IIMS graduates were recruited by Science Space Application Center. The early graduates joined Space Application Center, who became some of the big wigs in ISRO. So the whole idea of Vikram Sarabhai was that science, technology, and management should be seen together, and they should contribute to each other's growth and progress of the society. Because Vikram Sarabhai was our first honorary director. I am Ahmedabad's first honorary director. Then Rahimatai came.
Yes.
So Ramakant has joined from the bus, looks like.
Maybe.
You are on mute. You are on mute. Unmute, please.
I am at Vijay Vitthal Mandir.
Are so fast you have reached Hampi?
I am at Vijay Vitthal Mandir.
Yes, Professor Ramakant. Some interruption.
Yeah.
Connectivity.
I guess we're all ready. We are awaiting a few more people to join so that we can start the proceedings by 10:30.
See, we were to start at 10. No? That's how we have logged in earlier.
Yes. So we are awaiting a few more dignitaries to join from Kausali Institute of Management Studies. So we would be starting the session very soon, sir, as soon as the dignitaries join.
Please, sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I was wondering when should I join? I just called up. They said you join now.
Yeah, in fact, we were all told to join at 10, so we have been waiting since 10.
I also actually tried to join at 10, but I was the only one at that time, so I logged out.
We have forgotten our Zoom lessons. No, we take our own time these days.
That is the problem. Because I was talking to Chachadi sir, he said that join at 10. So I was.
Yeah. In fact, I was there. I had logged in. Chetan Business School had also logged in. Yeah, your 10 o'clock may have been different earlier.
Then I checked, it says 10:30.
Yeah,
Program will
okay.
begin at 10:30.
So you're speaking from Bombay or Bangalore?
Bombay. Bombay. I was in Bangalore, but I returned from Bangalore last night.
Mhm.
Now I am in my office.
So you're a part of SIE or is different?
This is Vivekananda Education Society Institute of Management, Chembur.
I think it's different from there's one South India.
Yeah, that is SIES.
SIES. I visited SIES.
SIES is different. It is in Navi Mumbai.
Navi Mumbai. Yeah, I visited that place.
This is in Chembur.
Hmm.
You are connected with?
Yeah, I'm now retired. I've retired from IIM Ahmedabad way back in 2016. Now I am, as they call, solopreneur. I am just floating.
Okay.
I am located in Dharwad. I do a lot of interesting work in the area of case writing and developing competencies of colleagues in case writing and research. So,
Okay. Can you share your number? We will invite you to our institute.
anytime. Online is preferred because
Yeah, online.
yeah,
Online.
Yeah, I can share my number 9879
9879
00
00
3235.
35.
Yeah, in fact, Madhav Gudi has my number.
Okay. Okay.
So Madhav Gudi, when he was an independent practitioner, he attended some of our sessions. He even attempted to write a wonderful
We have
case.
started a case study center in our institute for last 1 year.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so I thought that maybe the team would be very happy to interact with
Yeah, anytime for faculty development.
you. Because we have been using all foreign developed cases.
In fact, that is what my thing is, that schools cannot afford $40 or $10 a case.
Right.
So they have to now grow their own timber.
Right.
And that's possible if we put in efforts to identify what we call diamonds in our backyard.
Right.
There are plenty of diamonds in our backyard, but we look outside. Like
IIM Ahmedabad, I think initially before COVID tried a lot to sell their case studies, and I think some institutes bought also, but I don't think it is as popular as Harvard or something.
Yeah. We have, even today, we have an opportunity to sell. We have same kind of packages. Advantage if somebody goes for what we call Harvard Comprehensive is that they get access to lot more business school cases than just Harvard. Like there is a pure Harvard, only Harvard cases, but there is comprehensive Harvard where you get access to cases written by all business schools registered with HBSP.
Okay.
So because of that comprehensive nature, many download IIMA cases from Harvard Business School's publication site.
Good morning, Professor Moz.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Dr. Kurvi, Director, Chetan Business School, Hubli.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, very nice meeting you. So we are joining this session with all our students of the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of them are eager to listen to you.
I will be happy to talk to you.
Yes, sir. So I request you to drop into our institution whenever you are there in this part of the state, maybe Hubli, Dharwad, or other Bangalore. So
yeah, sure. I keep on coming to Dharwad. My wife is from Dharwad.
Yeah. Then definitely your next visit, you please drop into our institution.
Sure.
So Chachadi, if you can want more details, you can get it from him.
I am in touch with him. Most likely in November, I may visit Dharwad.
Right.
I will be in touch with you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm also staying in Dharwad. I shifted base from Ahmedabad to Dharwad. You are most welcome.
Yeah, sure. I will. That's why I took your number.
Yeah, I stay in Vidyagiri. If you are familiar with JSS College and that environment.
I've been coming to Dharwad for last 20-25 years. So I am familiar, but not very, very familiar.
Okay.
But I will definitely visit you once.
Yeah, please, please.
When I'm there.
Yes, Professor Chachidi.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, we are able to hear now.
Yeah, yeah. Shall we get started?
Yes.
I think will Mudeshwar get started with the program?
Yes, sir, for sure, sir. Tejasvi Navadhitamastu. A very good morning to all the dignitaries who have joined us for this program. This is a very special occasion indeed. I feel privileged to be a part of this occasion. So this occasion is Professor Tigadi's fourth memorial lecture on the subject values and ethics in Indian knowledge and tradition. It's my pleasure to invite today's keynote speaker, Professor Satish Modh, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for joining despite of your busy schedule for this lecture, sir. Thank you, sir. It also gives me an immense pleasure to welcome Professor Ashok Chachidi, sir, who was the former director of Kausali Institute, who is the faculty emeritus at Chetan Business School right now. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for joining us. It's also my pleasure to welcome Professor Mukund Dikshit, sir, who was a faculty from IIM Ahmedabad. Sir, thank you, sir, thank you for gracing the occasion, sir. In their absence here, I also welcome and thank Professor M.S. Subhas and Dr. A.M. Kadkol, sir, for this function. I also would like to welcome Dr. Korvi, sir, Director Chetan Business School, for taking this initiation. So thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Hubli, sir, for joining the occasion. I would also like to welcome all the students of Chetan Business School and the faculties of different management institutions who have joined this function. I thank you one and all. With this, I request Dr. Ashok Chachidi, sir, to speak a few words about the occasion and introduce Sri Satish Modh, sir, to all the gathering.
There is some interruption. Just a moment. There is interruption. The Professor Chachidi's network. He needs 5 minutes to log in. Meantime, he has requested Professor Dikshit to say a few words about Professor Tigadi. As you are associate of Professor Tigadi, and Professor Chachidi has requested that you give us initial.
Yeah, suddenly I felt I was in Professor Tigadi's class, you know. So that is a situation where suddenly he will call you. Yeah, Professor, you start. So that we start is quite tough because it tests one's preparation. Especially I was not prepared for this kind of an introduction. Professor Tigadi is very dear to us for three very, very specific reasons. One, a very fine teacher, very, very fine teacher, very affectionate. And somehow he had the knack of feeling the pulse of students, their ability to absorb, their ability to respond to a man of values, principles, stood for what is right and what the society should gain for being so right. And third, which I admire and I am trying to practice even today, is being contemporary all the time. Every time I met him, I had this experience of discussing the best possible developments in the field at that time. So being contemporary, being principle-driven, being affectionate, they were the key hallmarks of a teacher like Professor Tigadi. So even today we remember him primarily because of those wonderful characteristics, and very strict, and he would make you work. And when you are in the class on that day, you may not like him, but after you graduate, you like him a lot. And that has been the experience of all the students who graduated from initially Economics Department of Karnataka. I was with the Economics Department of Karnataka University, then the Kausali Institute of Management, and the fraternity of MBA students. So I am actually moved to be a part of this continuing tradition of remembering Professor Tigadi. And we look forward to the lecture by Professor Satish Mode. And Professor Chachadi tells me that he is an accomplished person on multiple fronts. So he's from defense, he's from Indian traditions, he's familiar with most of the things. He's the most appropriate person to help us understand the issues relating to what is it that we are carrying from our traditions. What is this thing called Indian knowledge? Why is it that we need to go back, nurture and sustain some of the sacrifices and gains that got reflected in the ethical and value choices? So I request Professor Satish Moore to take over and help us resolve some of the ethical dilemmas and take the journey of the society and self forward. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Should I begin my lecture?
Please start.
First of all, I would like to thank all of you that you considered me fit enough to deliver this very, very prestigious lecture. I would like to, first of all, thank all the dignitaries who are present there, and also all the students who are present here. And I am sure that they will go back with some concepts about ethics. As you know, just before the program began, I was talking about that I'm very familiar with Dharwad because my wife is from Dharwad, and she belongs to one of the few initial batches of Karnataka University MBA batch. And I have had the privilege to visit the Kausali Institute of Management along with her. And I have met a couple of faculties and I have been in touch with them since then. In Bharat, ethics has been ingrained in our life through various stories, especially stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Now, there are certain intriguing instances in, say, Ramayana, which emphasizes the importance of ethical conduct. And one of the very interesting character which always stayed with me is the character of Kekai. That she was the warrior and who saved Dashrath's life while in a war. And Dashrath promised that whenever you want, I will give you 3 boons. But in the turn of the story, Kekai, when Rama was about to be, made king of Ayodhya, she demanded that my son Bharat should be made the king. And Dashrath, though he didn't like it, but since he had made a promise that I will fulfill your boons, even though he loved Ram, he agreed to Keke's demand. These are the stories all of you know. But look at the importance of making a promise. We really don't understand, and we just keep on making promises in life, and that because of that, if we don't fulfill those promises, our credibility goes down. Many corporates, they make lots of promise. There are people who makes lots of guarantees, but when those guarantees are not fulfilled, those promises are not fulfilled, your long-term credibility goes. So this is one lesson from this incident. But now look at Ram. Ram, since his father promised that to his mother, that Bharat will be made king, he agreed to leave the kingdom. Now, how many of us, if we really look within, and if we are going to be made a king tomorrow, and if we are asked to go to forest, we will be just to honor our father's word or somebody's word, we will give up all those things. So that also shows the strength of character, and that's why Ram is still so popular and is there in our heart and mind. Relating to the same incident, when Bharat returns, when he learns about this, what he does, he doesn't accept the kingdom. He goes to the forest to bring back Ram. That this king, I cannot rule this kingdom. This is purely, you should rule the kingdom. You are my elder brother, and please come. But we all know the story of Ramayana. Ram doesn't come back, and Bharat carries his Paduka, and he rules the. So these are the stories which are there all the time with us, and they become reference point for our conduct in our daily life. Now, if we look at another epic, Mahabharata, and we know all the stories and various things, but one story which actually, stays with me is that of Karna. Karna is supposed to be a person who is born with Kavach, a shield given by his father, Lord Sun. And that Kavach is so important that if anybody is attacking him, he will never get killed. But during the stories, we are told that Krishna tells Kunti that you ask for this Kavach, and Karna happily gives away. So that is a kind of, the attitude which we are told to build, that something which is so protective of you, but if you have promised to give something in charity or something, you will never forget. So these are the stories we have been told right from the beginning, and they shape the whole consciousness of our country. So we know about ethics, but since you are in a business class and this is a lecture which I have to deliver, I will give you some background about how the ethical theories have developed over a period of time. One ethical concept is about consequential ethics. Consequential ethics is also called teleological ethics in technical terms. What exactly is this? That in this format of ethical conduct, the consequences of an action is very, very important. That it should be good for the society, it should be good for the community, it should be good for everyone around. So when we are looking at consequential ethics, the importance is on the result. That whatever action you do, the result has to be for the benefit of the society, for the welfare of the society. And many companies in USA, they follow this consequential ethics. And many times under the guise of this consequential ethics, they even ask their employees to take part into unethical practices, because they say that since you have joined this company and it is your duty to work for the benefit of the company, and whatever we ask you to do, even if it is unethical, you must indulge into that. So this can be a pitfall of this consequential ethics, teleological ethics. Now, the second theory of ethics, which is again very popular, is Kantian ethics. That is, inherently, every action is either good or bad, and we should stay away from bad action and always perform good action. Why we are told to do that? Because we, all of us, in our conscience, know what is good and what is bad. It is only because we are driven by a certain result, we tend to perform bad action. So in this deontological ethical behavior, this is purely based on preventing people from doing wrong things. And when we look at this kind of ethical theory, when it is applied in organizations, there is always an ethical code of conduct. That suppose you are a student, then certain things are told to you that you should do this, you should not do this. Like in examination, you should not cheat. So this kind of conducts are laid down, ethical rules are laid down. For corporates, when you join, nowadays you join any company, they will ask you to sign a certain ethical code of conduct, and it will clearly tell you that what you should do, what you should not do. And when you indulge in any of those practices, you can be removed from your job. So in this deontological philosophy of ethics, the stress is on ethical conduct, and your ethical theories is rules and regulation based, and it is expected that people will follow ethical code of conduct when you are working in the organization. The third ethical theory, which is very popular, is called praxis. This praxis is basically a communist way of the first two, teleological and deontological. They derive their origin from biblical rule of law, and the Western society is mostly a Christian society. So teleological and deontological theories are based on Christian biblical rule of law. Now, praxis is, I describe them as a communist theory of ethics. And what it says is that whatever is being practiced in the society, you should continue to follow that. And that is your ethical conduct, your ethical behavior. So whatever society practices are, you must follow that. But if we really look, if you are in a company of good people and you follow those things, as long as you do that, it is fine. But suppose you belong to a group of thieves and they have their own ethical conduct. और अपने यहाँ पर कहानी भी है कि चोरों के भी बड़े कानून होते हैं, and they believe in certain practices. So this praxis theory believes that wherever you belong to, you follow those practices and be honest to what you are doing. So these are the three ethical, construct which generally we are taught in most of our business schools. But now I am coming here again, drawing back to our Indian theory of ethics. And I have written a book called Ethical Management, which actually espouses Indian way of, Indian tradition of looking at ethics. Now, how this terminology ethics has come about? In popular terms, actually it has come from the word again, sin. In Christian theology, there is again something called hermeteology, which is a study of sin. And according to Christian biblical theory, a sin is offense against God. And how it can be an offense against God? You can do that by despising God's followers, or if you don't follow biblical law. So this is a sin, and hermeteology, everyone who has gone to even some convent schools or missionary schools, they would have been exposed to this hermeteology and the concept of sin. Whereas in Indian traditions, there is no concept of sin. There is a concept of papa and punya. In a Mahabharata, Maharshi Vyas, he has written what is punya and what is papa. Maharshi Vyas says, in Sanskrit it is there, paropakaraha punyaya papaya parapidana. Oh, this is a very simple Sanskrit. What is punya? What is a meritorious action? What is an ethical action? According to Maharshi Vyasa, every action which results into welfare of others, paropakara, that is called a meritorious action, punya, and we should do that. And what is papa? Parapidana. Anything which hurt others is papa. And in modern terminology, we can even extend it to the environment, that what hurts the environment is also a papa. So all our stories are revolving around this concept of papa and punya. But if I restrict myself to only these stories, and if I don't build a theory of ethics based on Indian knowledge tradition, then I will not be doing justice to your time which you are giving to me. So let us look at how this pap and punya theory has been developed in Indian knowledge tradition. So before we go there, let us look at certain concepts. And those concepts are the concept of value. And what is a value? Suppose we are, there is, very hot in atmosphere outside, 45 degrees. And at that time, the air conditioner has a value. Because the air conditioner will bring down the temperature, and you can live in a 24, 25, 26 degree temperature and you will value that. But if suppose outside temperature is 4 degree, your house is very cold, and then suddenly if you say that you buy an air conditioner, at that point of time when the temperature is 4 degree, you will have no value for an air conditioner, and even if it is lying on the road, nobody will pick up the air conditioner, because at that point of time air conditioner is no value. Similarly, if we just reverse the situation, and if it is winter, more than air conditioner, what will have value is a heater or a sweater or something which will prevent you from catching cold. So this is the concept of value, and the value is also time, situation specific. Everything doesn't have a value. When you are very, very hungry, the food has some value. But if you are not hungry, the food has no value. So this is a basic concept of value which is derived from a fact. A fact is a food, fact could be air conditioner, fact could be heater. All those things have value only when you need them or you desire them. When you don't need them, when you don't desire them, they have no value. So the concept of ethics is also derived from the concept of need and desire. This is the first point I wanted to make. The second point is, what are the values? When I gave the example of values, the prevention of cold is a material value. So in Indian conception of values, there was a lecture given by M. Hirana in 1932 in Bhandarkar Institute in Pune, and he came out in a very, very clear understanding of this concept of value. And he said that in Indian philosophy and Indian knowledge tradition, values are of 4 types. And what are these 4 types of values? One is logical value. What is logical value? Logical value is what we are talking now, or what we learn knowledge in the classroom, or the experiments which do about physics or chemistry or in technology. They are all based on knowledge, and they are told to us, they are taught to us in certain particular method. We follow a methodology and we gain knowledge. Everything which is done to convert information into knowledge and wisdom is called logical value. And there are various ways of gaining this logical value. One is like this lecture which we are following. So you are getting some information and you are gaining knowledge. So according to M. Hirayana, this is a logical value which we acquire, and these logical values and skills are needed for us to survive in this world and earn our living or livelihood. So this is logical value. I am sure you all understand very much. So there are various theories, there are hypotheses, there are similarities. So they are all used to build knowledge and we gain logical value. The second value which M. Hirayana talked about is called aesthetical value. Now this aesthetic value is very, very different from logical value. Somebody loves mountains, somebody loves sea, somebody loves triangular shape, somebody loves circular shape, somebody loves four squared shape, somebody may love green color, somebody may love yellow color. So every one of us has a different sense of aesthetics, and we develop this aesthetic value based on where we have been brought up, what kind of environment we have, and what kind of things we are doing. So this is called aesthetic value. So we should be very clear that one value which I talked about is logical value, and second thing I talked about is aesthetic value. Lot of our products, like if you have a mobile or if you have a laptop, they are all designed based on a lot of research on aesthetics and what kind of things will appeal to people, and based on that they have a particular shape design. So this is aesthetic value, and these are also taught in design classes and in architectural classes, what kind of houses will look good. So this is aesthetic value. Now the third type of value according to M. Hirayana in Indian knowledge tradition is called absolute value. Now what is this absolute value? The truth doesn't change. There are no people say that truth can be covered but cannot be defeated. Truth will always prevail. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. These are all absolute values and they don't change. Similarly, when all the religions talk about God, an unknown power which is the super consciousness which is driving this world. So all those people who believe something for which we don't have any explanation, we try to define them as being done by divine or by destiny or by luck or whatever we call that. It is absolute value which cannot change, and we cannot actually have any theories to understand that. We can do meditation, we can do Kriya Yoga to understand. But there was a researcher who is called Boulding. He came out with a general systems theory. If you search Google, you will find Boulding's general systems theory, where he talks about 9 levels of knowledge. I don't want to go so much in detail about Boulding's general systems theory, but I would actually ask you or request you, all of you, to go and search on Google and read those. This will really open up a lot of things about this level of knowledge, from a level of a table or a level of a fridge, to level of an animal, to level of a man, level of organizations, and level of unknown knowledge. So this absolute value is talking about this unknown knowledge. So once we understand these 3 values, logical value, aesthetic value, and absolute value, if we are very clear about these 3 things, then the Hirayana says that the 4th thing is called ethical value, which is dealing with moral code of conduct, and which is there in our Mimamsa. We have, Shat Darshan in Indian knowledge tradition. We have Patanjali Yoga, we have Sankhya Yoga, we have Vedanta, Purvi Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. All those things, when we look at, Nyaya, Visheshika, these are the Shad Darshan. So in this Shad Darshan, what deals with the Indian value system and the concept of ethics is the book called Mimamsa. And Mimamsa deals with actions which are meritorious, which gives us merit, and we can gain some advantage in life if we indulge into that. And there are actions which gives us demerit, and the result of demerit, as our Bhagavad Gita says from the Karma Siddhant, that whatever action we do, we cannot escape its consequences. So if we do meritorious action in this life or some other life, we will definitely get a positive result. But if we indulge into demerit action, the Mimamsa says that whether in this life or some other life, we will face the consequences. And again, to substantiate this point, there is a story again in Mahabharata when Bhishma was, hurt by Arjun and he was lying on the floor. You must have seen Mahabharata series also. And Bhishma is asking, I have been always true to my character, but then why this suffering in my life that I am lying on this, bed of this tear and I am suffering this. So then in some explanation, it is given that maybe in some 7-8 lives before, you tried to kill an insect which had many legs, and that really insect suffered and died. And because of that, in this life, you have to suffer this particular thing. So these stories in our Indian knowledge traditions and Puranas and all that, they tell you, they try to emphasize that even a bad action done 5 lives before also, you may have to face the consequences. So in nutshell, Mimamsa tells us about importance of meritorious action and ethics. So this is the framework of values and ethics in Indian knowledge tradition. And when again I go back to the concept of value, the Indian conception of values rely on these 4 founding, legs of a stool. These are fact, value, need, and desire. I will repeat again that there are 4 legs of a stool of ethical traditions in Indian knowledge system. One is fact. Fact is undeniable. What you see, what you feel, what you perceive, what you imagine is all fact. But that fact has no importance to you until unless that fact has a value for you. And that value could be logical value, aesthetic value, absolute value, or ethical value or moral value. But both these two, fact and value, comes into operation only when you need them. If you don't need them, then those fact and values are only for imagination. It is only when you need them, there is action is initiated, or you desire them. Even if it is winter, but if you desire to install an AC in your house, you will still go out and buy an AC. So this need and desire, these are the 2 things of which we have to always be aware. We have to fulfill our need of hunger. We have to fulfill our need of staying in a house. So for all that, we indulge into earth, calm. All those things are there in our Indian traditions, the knowledge. But Bhagavad Gita talks about overcoming your desire. Yes, for something we need to survive, we will indulge into all those actions, and the judgment will not be based on if something you needed to survive, why you acted on that. Even the criminal law, in section 100 in the existing criminal law, if you kill somebody in your self-defense, you are not charged for murder because to protect your life, you killed somebody. So the whole framework of Indian ethical system is based on fact, value, need, but you have to be very, very conscious of your desires. If you read Bhagavad Gita, you will realize that desires are the worst enemy of us. And in the 16th chapter, talking to Arjuna, Krishna says that everyone should be aware of three gates of hell, or three gates of falling down in life. And one is anger, that when you get angry, at that time you lose all the consciousness of what is right and what is wrong and what you need to do and what you don't need to do. So Krishna says that one should be very, very careful of your anger. And this anger comes from non-fulfillment of desire. You want something, and if the desire is not fulfilled, the mechanism is that you become angry towards yourself and angry towards world, and that is reflected in your behavior. So overcome your desire, understand your desire, and always be watchful of your action. Don't let anger overpower you. And the third thing, Krishna says in the 16th chapter, that desire, as bad as desire is the enemy, the another enemy is your greed. You have something today, you want it more and more because you like it. If you have a small car, Maruti 800 or Alto, you want to have Mercedes, then you want to have Porsche. And to acquire more and more things, you keep on, if it is being done in a fair manner, it is all right. But if you think I will fulfill my desire, desires are unending. So we should control our desire. We should act with an spirit of a karma yogi. That's why I talked about all these values is that the Western concept of consequential ethics or Kantian ethics, defining rules and regulations. A society needs rules and regulations for its survival. You need to have ethical conduct. But if you really understand this play of desire, the play of fact, the play of values, inherently you will not indulge into some actions which are unethical. And that is the moral bedrock of Indian society. If we don't understand that, then we will also caught in the same paradigm of running after more and more desires, running after more and more so-called progress. But at the end of it, if we are not happy, we don't have inner joy, we don't have inner peace, then our life remains unfulfilled. If you want to lead a life of fulfillment, of joy and happiness, it is very, very important that we don't indulge into unethical action. And I think with this, I will end my lecture. This is half an hour completed, and I was told that I should speak for half an hour. I have tried to put together the concept of ethics and values from Indian knowledge tradition. And if the organizers permit, I can answer some of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Dr. Satish Mode, sir, Director, Vivekananda Education Institute of Education Society's Institute of Management. To introduce to the gathering, few words about Dr. Satish Mode, sir. Professor Satish Mode, sir, has got more than 12 years of experience as professor in Indian university system, and he holds a 25 years experience in Indian aviation industry. He started his career with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. Selection through Indian
amendment in multi-state.
May I request the audience to mute your mics, please?
To make certain payment.
Yeah. Then sir was also a member of business transformation group to prepare the turnaround strategy for Air India after the merger with Indian Airlines. In his long and distinguished career with Air India, he was elected as General Secretary of the Aircraft Maintenance Engineers Association. He has also held a position of Honorable Secretary and Chairman of Aeronautical Society of India, the Mumbai branch. With his love of teaching, in 2011, he took voluntary retirement from Air India and joined as professor of NMIMS University, which is Narsi Monji Institution of Management Sciences, teaching various subjects in the area of business strategy and business ethics. He was also given the responsibility of Associate Dean in MPS TME, which is the MBA Tech Department. He was a member of Academic Council and other statutory bodies at NMIMS University. In 2014, he joined as professor and director at VES Institute of Management affiliated to University of Mumbai. He totally revamped the curriculum of PGDM program at VESIM with business analytics as its core and forged an academic association with SAS. As we have already heard, Sir has developed a personality test based on Guna concept of Bhagavad Gita. The test is also used for career guidance and leadership styles based on Triguna. Sir has been given Outstanding Reviewer Award at Academy of Management Conferences, Boston 2019. He was also given the Deving Mehta Award for Outstanding Contribution to Education in 2014. He was named among the 100 most influential directors in India at the World Education Congress 2016, which was held in Mumbai. Sir, indeed, it's a great pleasure for all of us to have you with us. And thank you profoundly for delivering this lecture. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Meanwhile, I would also like to invite and welcome Dr. A.M. Kadkor, Director, Kausali Institute of Management Studies. Along with him, a lot of alumni from Kausali Institute of Management, as well as the students from Kausali Institute of Management Science have joined us. I welcome you all. To tell you all today, it's a very special occasion that we are celebrating Professor Tigadi's 4th memorial lecture. To tell you all, Professor Tigadi was a founder director of Kausali Institute of Management Sciences. He started his journey at London School of Economics. From there, coming back to Gadag to Economics Department in Karnataka University. From there, moving on to Kausali Institute of Management Science. Indeed, it's a great journey. To know it in detail, may I now request Professor Emeritus of Chetan Business School and former Director of Kausali Institute of Management Studies, Dr. Ashok Chachidi sir, to speak a few words about Dr. Tigadi sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry I could not do this honor of introducing our distinguished speaker in the beginning, but thank you, Murdeshwar, for having done that. I would like to say a few words about Professor Tigadi today. Am I audible? Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Go ahead.
See, Professor Tigadi was born in a business family in Kadoli in Belgaum district, and he went on to complete his BA from Lingraj College of Commerce, Lingraj College at Belgaum, then went on to the London School of Economics to do his post-graduation. After his return, he did serve as a principal of a college at Gadag, but then he was invited by Dr. D.C. Paute, the distinguished Vice Chancellor of Karnataka University, to come and join the economics department of the Karnataka University. In his role as a professor in the Department of Economics, he distinguished himself with his highly profound study of the international economics, monetary policy, and whatnot, and was able to enthuse his students to really get a grasp of economics as a discipline. And as a result, he has been able to produce very great luminaries. And one of them we have today is Dr. Mukund Dikshit, who was a student of Professor Tigadi in the MA Economics program of Karnataka University. While he was working in the economics department as a professor, Karnataka University received a donation from Tamapanna Kausali of Hubli to start a business school in the Karnataka University. So with this inspiration, the university decided to approach the UGC for permission, and they sent a team headed by Dr. Rul Singh of Kurukshetra University to select a suitable person to start the Kausal Institute of Management Studies. And herein, they selected Professor Tigadi as the best person to found the institute and invited him to go through the formalities. Professor Tigadi, before starting in the institute in 76, went for 1 year to different places, met different directors of reputed management schools like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, director of Jamnalal Bajaj Institute, and he established a good network with them, so much so that the respective directors told their faculty, if there is a request from Professor Tigadi, you may go directly without even our permission. So as a result, the best of the faculty from IIM Ahmedabad, which included Professor G.S. Gupta, it included Professor Pathak, H.N. Pathak, it included Vijayendra Tripathi, and many others from IIM Ahmedabad. Similarly, from IIM Bangalore, we had Professor K.L.K. Rao, Professor Kollecha, Professor S.G. Lele, and Professor Kausulgi, and Professor Tagar, and many other people coming down and completely handling the courses at your place. Apart from this, he arranged for some IIM Ahmedabad graduates who were working in Hubli to come and teach the core subjects like principles of management and so on. So with this kind of an effort, coupled with several guest speakers, which included the best economists in the country, like Professor C.N. Vakil, P.R. Brahmananda, M.E. Paili, and so on, he built an excellent institution with excellent traditions, excellent value systems, and as a result, the institute attracted the attention of the whole country. And at a time when very few institutions in the country, Kausal Institute distinguished itself as one of the best 10 institutes in the country. Now, going further, Professor Tigadi had a very multifaceted personality. He was invited by University of Florida, Gainesville, North Carolina, USA, to come and teach economics there. There he was also where he developed some special interest in teaching management. And apart from that, World Bank invited him to head the India Population Center at Bangalore as a founder director, and he had the distinction of having set up one of the best institutions in the country. And with all these attractions of World Bank assignments and all that, he had a desire in him that he should produce a few good students, and that made him give up all the assignments and come back to Karnataka University and take up again a job as a professor of economics and subsequently as the founder director of the Kausal Institute of Management Studies. In between, he was also General Secretary of the Indian Economic Association, where he interacted and networked most of the economists in the country to conduct very good conferences, Indian Economic Association conferences, which they feel the golden era as far as the Indian Economic Association is concerned. And he used to tell us that when he went to Punjab, Dr. Manmohan Singh came to receive him. And when he went to Calcutta, Dr. Pranab Mukherjee came to receive him, because Manmohan Singh was a professor of economics. Pranab Mukherjee was a lecturer in economics in Calcutta when he went to Calcutta. Anyway, Professor Tigadi was a man of values and stood for discipline, commitment, involvement, and hard work. And he never spared anyone if they did not follow the core discipline that is required in management. Dr. Mukund Dikshit would agree with me that but for his insistence on performance, his steadfastness, and his rigor of teaching any subject that he took up, made students become alert, become disciplined, and work hard. And as a result, all of our students are there all over the world doing exceedingly well in their respective professions. Thanks to Professor Tigadi. In fact, I had an occasion to accompany Professor Tigadi to the conference of the Association of Indian Management Schools at Hyderabad. And on the way, we went to Bangalore. We stayed for a night there. And he was felicitated by the students of Kosal Institute. In fact, many people did not like him for his discipline when they were his students. But after they came out of the institute and experienced the transformation that they have undergone under the leadership of Professor Tigadi, they really felt that he has done a great job in shaping them up. So they all, paid their respects to him and thanked him for whatever, process that he made them undergo. So such was the profile of Professor Tigadi, and we are very happy that a very distinguished person like Dr. Satish Mode has agreed to speak on a very, subject of heart for Professor Tigadi, because he talked about ethics as early as 76. Today, ethics has assumed a lot of importance, but in those days, we were not much discussing about ethics. But Professor Tigadi was aware of the importance of ethics and did follow them in his own life, and made us also very much aware that it is not the result alone that is important. The means that we adopt are also equally important. So we are happy that we have just heard a very inspiring and informative as well as judgmental kind of a speech, where he has gone through all the theories of ethical behavior, and has also touched upon the ethical choices that the Indian ethics illustrate. And thereby, he has made us become aware of the treasure of value systems that we have in Indian Hindu literature, which can be sourced upon to make our life more meaningful and purposeful. Thank you.
So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for these words. It means a lot. Meanwhile, I would also like to welcome the family members of Dr. Tigadi, sir, who have joined us on this occasion. I welcome you. Now, may I request Dr. A.M. Kadkol, Director of Kausali Institute of Management Studies, to speak few words on this occasion.
So, Karkol, are you there? Trace, can we move on to any others? Because maybe he can join us later.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Now, may I take this opportunity to request Dr. V.M. Korvi, Director, Chetan Business School, to speak few words on this occasion.
I think Professor Kadkol is online now. Okay. Very good morning to all of you. Yeah, Professor Sood, Satish Mode, Director, Vivekananda Education Society, Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai, was the guest speaker on the occasion of Professor Tigadi's 4th memorial lecture, and Professor A.F. Chachadi, the former Dean and Director of Kausali, and also Professor Emeritus of Chetan Business School, and Professor Mukund Dikshit, and all the, Professor Kadkol, and all the faculty members from the KIMS, and the learned colleagues, and many alumni of the esteemed institutions of North Karnataka, the Kausali Institute. And today we all have gathered virtually, and all my young and energetic student friends. It's indeed a proud privilege for me to speak a few words on Professor Tigadi. In fact, Professor Tigadi, when he started the institution called Kausali Institute of Management Studies in the Karnataka University, in fact, it was one of its, kind of the institution, because especially the northern part of the Karnataka, there were no any MBA institutions, and the students of this part of the state were supposed to go to Mumbai or Pune or Kolhapur or maybe Bangalore to pursue the MBA education. in those days where Professor Tigadi thought, there is a need for coming up with a management institution, and in this part of the state, that too, coming under the banner of the university and as a university B school. For the first time, it was a all together it's a model B school, and that is how the Kausali started in Karnataka University, and later under his leadership. Whereas many a times he used to say, couple of times he has visited our institution also. He used to say, as it was a one-man, the institution. And today we are proud to say there are many scholars who have come out of this Kausali Institute are serving the different parts of the world. So that is how the institution building. So we have to really learn how an institution can be built. If suppose any of us may find out the many reasons. If we are not able to do something, achieve something, definitely we come out with a reason. But Professor Tigadi has never ever come with a reason. Always, I still remember many a times, he used to drive his own car to pick the guests from the, railway station, and sometimes he made them to stay at his home, and even he used to bring a flask of coffee from the home to the guest to serve the guest. So, with all odds that he has built the institution. So, in fact, we should really appreciate and remember on his fourth death anniversary that the contribution of Professor Tigadi for the Kausali Institute in particular and the management education in general for this part of the state. With this, on behalf of the Chetan Business School, on behalf of all my student staff, I would like to submit my tribute to Professor Tigadi. So thanks for giving me an opportunity to say a few words on this occasion. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Korvi sir, for sharing your experience. Now, may I request Dr. A.M. Kadkol sir, Director KIMS, to speak a few words on this occasion.
I think says he's busy with some work. Is unable
Yes,
to.
sir.
So should we can we invite a few of the people in the audience that anyone would like to speak?
Definitely, sir. We have a lot of alumni from Kausali Institute of Management Studies who has joined the meeting, who hold prestigious positions in the different organizations. Now, may I request any of the alumni from Kausali Institute of Management Studies to speak few words on the occasion.
Can Suresh do that? Suresh Badranawar.
Am I audible?
Yeah, sir. Very much.
Introduce
Yeah.
yourself. Introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
Good morning to all of you. This is Suresh Badranawar, 1980-82 batch. And my last assignment was former managing director. And I work with Rajasthan Drugs and Pharmaceutical. And today is fourth death anniversary of Professor C.B. Tigadi, a former director. I had the opportunity of his student during 1980-82. Professor Tigadi was a strict administrator and upright super manager of Management Institute. He created KIMS with lot of initial hurdles and came across all these with firm determination of its objectives. And he achieved this by creating exclusiveness in its own sphere, particularly in the academic environment, in the university and also in the outside world. We could feel this exclusiveness during and after our management program for 2 years. As student, we didn't have anything more as we were from rural college background. Yet, with a good training in these 2 years was excellent and could establish ourselves in the management field and achieve laurels. We are ever grateful to such guru as our super leader, which helped us to be leader in our world, both professional and personal. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Suresh. And Mrs. Naresh Shah is on the line. He's a president of the Alumni Association. Would you speak a few words, Naresh? Go ahead. We're not able to hear you, Naresh. Naresh, are you able to hear us? Says there seems to be some problem.
Yes, sir.
Now we can move on to the presidential remark.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else in the audience who would like to speak?
So I'll take this opportunity to request family members of Dr. Tigadi sir, who has joined us, to speak few words on the occasion. I request audience to mute yourself.
Now, says they may not be able to join. Let us go to the president's remarks. To go to Dr. Mukund Dixit.
Yes. Yes, sir. Now I request Professor Mukund Dixit, Faculty, Indian Institute of Management, to deliver the presidential remarks.
Okay, thank you, Shreyas. I really don't know what this presidential remark is, but what I can do is I can reflect on some of the aspects of Santosh's presentation, in terms of what does it mean to be a part of an ethical society. End of the day, the question is, are you ethical? Are you moral? Now, what does it mean? In fact, every year, whenever I met Prof Tigadi, he used to ask me the same question again and again. And the question is, what are your gains for the year? In fact, meeting Professor Tigadi every year was like a performance appraisal day for me. Even today, when I meet Professor Tigadi on this 4th anniversary day, I have the same sense of being assessed for my performance, because there's a belief that those who have departed from us come back to listen to us on the day of their departure. So by that belief, Professor Tigadi is around. He is listening to all of us with the same question. One, during the year, what did you do and what are your gains? But that was not so much of importance to him. What did you gain? But what was importance to him was, what did the society gain from what you did? Whatever activities you engaged in, what did the society gain? The associated question he used to ask was, what were your sacrifices? What did you sacrifice? And what were the sacrifices of the society? End of the day, when you put your calculus in place, are the gains and sacrifices of self lower or higher than the gains and sacrifices of the society? So based on that, you would set the agenda for the next year, and I would work on that, come back and make a report. Today, the situation is no different from that performance appraisal day, where he's around asking the same set of questions. In fact, Professor Satish created a context for raising and answering this question very beautifully by bringing the concerns of various characters in Ramayana and Mahabharata. And he started with Kaikeyi. Who has with her a promise that was made earlier. It is not a fresh promise. It was a promise that was made earlier, and she had to encash it on a day which she chose. And the concern of Kaikeyi, if one gets into her shoes, is today or tomorrow. Encash today or encash tomorrow. If I encash today, I also create for my son an opportunity to rule. And if I hope to encash it tomorrow, that opportunity may not arise at all. So what do I do? But the other side is, what will the society gain? What will the society lose? So end of the day, when you look into the dilemma from the perspective of Kaikeyi and take a perspective on what could we have done on that day, when somebody advises me to encash that day, because here is Ram, who is going to be the king, and as per the inheritance laws of the society, the eldest son has to become the king and inherit. So should I oppose? Should I not oppose? So these were some of the ethical dilemmas of Kaikeyi, and she, in her way of looking at things, made a choice in favor of self. But that is where the other side of Professor Satish's aspect comes in. What were the consequences? What were the consequences? Did you realize your intended consequences were Bharat became the king and he ruled the world, and lo and behold, people have forgotten Ram. But that didn't happen. There are several unintended consequences where Bharat said, what kind of a thing you have done? As my mother, I do appreciate the mother's concern, but I don't appreciate the decision you have taken in the context you are in. So rest of the story came out quite well to reflect this aspect of sacrifice, gain, short-term, long-term, self and society. How do you balance? Do you err in favor of society or do you err in favor of self? Where is the balance? Now, Professor Satish also brought in the dilemma of Lord Ram. Here is Ram and Sita all set to take charge, be coronated. And as per the decision of the king, Dasharath. Now the question is, should I give it up? In fact, decision has been made and I have been made the king, asked to be taking charge. Should I take charge and say, who is this one who is making a choice? And that may have been a personal choice. That was not the king's choice. So do I obey my father or do I respect the decision of the king? And again, what kind of consequences? What kind of consequences? A king to be tomorrow is now in the forest. So again, the same questions. Gain, sacrifice, self, society, today and tomorrow. Today and tomorrow. Bharat had the same question. And he made a very, very, very interesting choice. In fact, to me, he made a very interesting choice which tried to cooperate with the concerns of all. He says, I'm not going to be the king. The king to be always come in and then be the king. I'm only a representative. I'm only a representative. That's how he sorted out. The rest of the story is known. Same is the case with Karna. We're talking about Karna even before Professor Satish joined us. Now, do I respect my image as Danavir? Whoever asks has to get it. Or do I exercise a choice in favor of winning the battle because I'm invincible if I have this kavach? And do I recognize somebody as my mother? Because she says she is my mother and she has a right to ask. Or do I say one who has brought me up is my mother? So several choices. All of us face these choices as executives, as decision makers. And Professor Satish's classification of values, the anecdotes, and rooting us in the Shat Darshan, various disciplines, various ways of thinking, various ways of organizing, I'm sure they'll come quite handy when I graduate as a student, or I will go back to my class as a teacher, or when I take charge as an executive. Same questions. What is your gain today? What is your sacrifice today? what kind of intended and unintended consequences, long term or short term. So, which underlines the need for what we have said, the need to take decisions in the context of a thorough thinking through and very thorough thinking across. Look at all possible aspects when you still have time. Once the die was cast, King Dasharatha had no option but to surrender. Once the die was cast. But this question with which Professor Satish started, who makes the promise and how the promise is to be made? Though some of the leaders of our business group say a promise is a promise is a promise and it has to be filled, but does promise have a rider? Does promise come with conditions? Who imposes conditions? Is there an absolute promise that needs to be made when you do not know what the future will unfold for yourself? Like Bhishma, he also quoted Bhishma. You made an unconditional promise without realizing how the future will unfold. That's not in your hands. But now you wonder why I am on the Charsaya. So therefore, all these characteristics which were brought into the sessions were actually the narrations of dilemmas and the way people resolve those dilemmas and the consequences. And for us, the lesson is be aware, put all these together, and emerge as a successful, contributing executive. Thank you very much, Professor Satish, for putting these thoughts in a nice manner. And thank you very much, Prof Tigadi, for organizing this very, very sincerely and very, very devotedly. And the family members of Professor Tigadi has joined us and they left. And only the other day I met Madam Tigadi. She was as devoted, as concerned about whether the values are intact, whether the progress is as per the requirements of the society, and are people contributing and sacrificing enough. So Vishwa I saw for a short while, and Achala I saw for a short while. And thank you very much for being a part of that. And thank you all for being with us on the 4th anniversary day and giving us an opportunity to give an account of what I said, our gains, our sacrifices, societal gains, societal sacrifices, intended and unintended consequences. Thank you. Over to Professor Tigadi.
So thank you, sir. I'm sure these thoughts will ignite everybody to look back at Bhagavad Gita as a book to refer for management. Now we are probably moving to the last part of the event.
Yes,
That's vote of thanks.
Thank on behalf of everyone. Could I propose a vote of thanks?
So with your permission, I'll do it. So I would like to thank Dr. Satish Mode, Director, Vivekananda Education Society's Institute of Management, for delivering the keynote lecture and gracing the occasion. I would like to thank Dr. Mukund Dikshit sir, former faculty IIM Ahmedabad, for presiding over the session. I also would like to thank Dr. Ashok Chachidi sir, former Director, Kausali Institute of Management Studies, for being the guiding force behind this occasion. I would like to also thank Dr. A.M. Kadkol sir, Director of KIMS, for gracing the occasion. I also would like to thank Dr. V.M. Korvi sir, Director, Chetan Business School, for hosting this event. I would also like to thank family members of Dr. Tigadi sir for joining and gracing this occasion.
Thank Dr.
It's
Karnataka.
only fair if I thank faculties of institutes affiliated to Karnataka University, all the alumni of Kausali Institute of Management Studies, and students of KIMS and Chetan Business School. I, Professor Shreyas Murdeshwar, a faculty at Chetan Business School and research student at KIMS, thank Dr. Ramakant sir as well for giving me this opportunity for comparing. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Hello. Namaskar. Thank you so much. It was fine. It suited the occasion, and with your examples from the epic Ramayana and Mahabharata and those situations where you make ethical choice, I think that was very apt. And along with that, you have also brought down the Western. I think it was a good because boys would be interested in the theoretical part also because they read it as a subject and write about it. And on the other hand, they also need to can context models to look upon. I must thank you very much for the effort, availability of your busy schedule, and you made it back to Bombay and be with us more comfortably. I think that added everything. I had some problem with my. It's high, but it's very appreciable. But I had some problem with my equipment here at the last minute. So, yeah, I see. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. We will meet again when I come to Bombay. Thank you.